Food and weight obsession can be exhausting. Losing weight, gaining weight, dieting, feeling like a failure because you missed a workout, binged, overate, or gained all the weight back. The cycle is endless and it can be maddening. But I'm here to say you can stop the mental madness. You can take back control of your food behaviors, but you have to face your fears, you have to ask for help, and make a change. I am Leslie M. Thornton, permanent weight loss coach from HPWL.co. This is Hypnosis for Permanent Weight Loss, and I know you can make this happen. On this podcast, you will hear how to stop the mental madness, love your body, trust your food decisions so you can create a life of happiness, freedom, and inner peace. Welcome to the Hypnosis for Permanent Weight Loss podcast. I am here with an awesome previous client, a graduate of the Hypnosis for Permanent Weight Loss program. Tess, thank you so much for being here today. Yes. Hi. So nice to see you. We were just having a little conversation prior to this, and just the energy, the palpability of transformation, like it's definitely there. So I'm super excited for you to share with our audience, what your transformation was like. And, I did specifically think of you and your journey because you really showed up at 100% while you were in the Fast Track to Freedom program. Like Tess was at it, doing her homework, asking the questions about how to use the tools, like getting you really deep and like, I'll use the word nerdy, but I mean it lovingly because I'm also a nerd as far as wanting to really like master it and see what's going on in the unconscious and like become aware of patterns that's going to receive the different results. So, and I know that your journey also could probably relate to a lot of people, or I know you were like kind of thinking about it for a long time. You watched a lot of my stuff for a long time before you actually, took the action and went for it, which I know can be really challenging for people. And and beyond just your food, body, and weight habits and patterns, seeing those different, improvements in every single area of life. Just thanks for being willing to share your story so that other people can benefit from hearing your unique and awesome twist that you have.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. It's great to see you. You look beautiful as always. I'm happy to be here. Absolutely.
That's awesome. Good. So yes, if you want to start a little bit, maybe like who you are, what you do for a living, and then where you were, prior to starting Hypnosis for Permanent Weight Loss.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am Tess. For a living, I'm in the corporate world. My wheelhouse corporate wise is risk management and insurance. So that's my 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. Gosh, yes, before today, before
Okay.
being able to evolve into today, I was. Uh, I was becoming more and more into myself, like cutting myself away from friends and family and events and everything. And it was starting to become a bit of a spiral. And I would cry a lot of just this overwhelming feeling of why won't this change? Why can't I? What's wrong with me? How come I've I tried, as you've said in many of your podcasts, how very many different types of weight loss opportunities that I tried, from calorie restriction to vamping up physical exercise to I did try Wegovy in the very beginning, semi-glutide shots. I mean, if there was one, I tried that, and I didn't understand what was wrong with me, and that was the core feeling. What is wrong with me? And I did come across your podcasts, and I started listening to them, and I could really relate, and I appreciated so incredibly much that you were so authentic. At times during podcasts, if the listeners go back and listen to some previously recorded, you would cry even, and I felt your empathy, and I felt that you got it. It wasn't just a "Ah, yes, yes, here, try this, and it's wonderful," or like the commercials, and somebody's standing there with some britches pulled out, and they're like, "Look at me." I wanted to be that person, but it was your approach was very sincere and heartfelt, and I just want the opportunity to help you get to where you want to be. And that was the selling point for me, if you will, that there were, I think, two different episodes, and I listened to many. I was a voyeur to your podcast for quite some time, and I joined one of your Facebook groups, and I would comment and things. So my turning point was just really feeling like I could trust you, because safety to me is wildly important. I learned along our way, um, and I just felt like I was in good hands. I could learn. I could. There were tools. That was a key word for me as well. Is it wasn't like, let this fix that. It wasn't solely a body image approach. Like, if you do this, your waistline will go down this much, and if you do these exercises, if you stand on this vibration plate, not that they're bad, actually, I think they're good for lymphatic. Point is, it was you saying, you know what, you're not broken. I have tools. I've been there. Look at my before, look at my after. That I came here. And so when we first had our call, oh gosh, I was a crying mess. Like, for the first time in a very long time, my emotion wall was just pushed out of the way, and just cried and cried on the telephone with you, and you were so loving and supportive and comforting. You really just gave me the space I needed to kind of sniffle through and have that dialogue with you, to say, listen, I've listened to you. I want to know what the tools are. I want to know how to help myself, where it's not some other thing I have to take or do or manage or measure or obsess over, and wake up and go to sleep and standing on the scale and crying my eyes out on the regular. And you just showed me there was a different way. Um, and at that time, all I wanted, of course, I wanted to have a different shape. I wanted to physically look the way I remember that I looked, 5, 10 years ago, that something morphed upon this menopausal journey. Woohoo. And I felt separated from my husband in an intimate way. Myself, I didn't feel good. So I didn't want that. In the picture, I felt like I was starting to become more meek than the strong, powerful woman that I am.
Mm.
And so I really needed that reminder that this program provides, of dig down, utilize the tools. So my goal, to get back to your original question, was just to be more comfortable looking in the mirror. I wanted to, like the person looking back at me when I did it, I realized I was so put out walking by a reflection. I was so hurt and distraught. And the meanness that we can bring upon ourselves when we are not up to form of what we're told we should be, what we remember being, or any of that, instead of loving who we are today. So that's where I was then. And my outcome was to be able to be a little, well, to be kinder to myself. I wanted that. I wanted to feel good when I passed by a reflection. I wanted to feel strong in the work world, in the business world. I wanted to have that piece of me back that had fallen away because my waist measurement had grown. It was interesting that parallel, the more my waist or my body grew, the more I shrunk. And I just wanted back to be whole, to be made whole again, if you will. Um, Not really understanding the depth of the journey that I was walking into, but surely I knew there would be a transformative difference, because I could really feel. You get the chilly bumps when things are meant. There were so many of the podcasts that I would sit and I would be like, "Girl, I know, I feel that, and I need your help." Took a while to pull the plug, but I did it, and I'm very grateful for it. I'm grateful for you and your team, and the internal changes that are with me, and the tools that I can access anytime.
That's awesome. Thanks for
Thank you.
everything that you shared. And yeah, just really, it's kudos to you for showing up and right, taking the action and doing the work and yeah, knowing you're worth it. right?
Yeah.
Knowing that, yeah, like this to actually get back to wholeness and to feel like myself again and utilize your feelings of disempowerment about your body and your weight as an access point to truly healing
Mhm.
what I'm hearing. And
Yeah.
it's been beautiful to watch your journey. So congratulations for
Thank you.
all that.
Thank
And I know that it's a never ending journey and there's right always going to
Yeah.
be the layers to pull. I was just talking to a woman this morning and she was saying how she had a really great experience in the past with hypnosis, and it was hypnosis for actually the fear of dogs.
Oh,
And she's like, and now, I can be in a room with 5 dogs and I have no issue. And what I said to her was how I love that. I used to do hypnosis for different things like that, fear of flying or, you know, smoking or these different things. And I said, and what I found from my own experience and doing this for this many years is that food, body and weight stuff, it's a different animal. There's just so many layers to it. It's the first thing we're introduced to as babies for nourishment, for our, signal of love and care and all the things. And then obviously how much, right, our society revolves around food and obviously social situations. But then there's attraction, right? You mentioned the intimacy with partners, which I see a lot of times with people. And right, there's just so much that's wrapped into it. And the woman on the call today was just like, yep, that makes total sense to me. So I never like to paint a picture that hypnosis can be like, snap your fingers and now you just never, whatever, ever again, because
yeah.
it's just such a deeper dive.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So really acknowledge you're going there for it. Um, so many things stood out to me as you were talking that I think could make a difference for people. I find it so interesting. I love knowing what people do for a living because it shows how, right, their brain may work, and just like hearing like risk management and insurance, right? It's just like, and amazing, right? We need that brain power to do incredible work that you're doing. And right, when it comes to like taking the action on ourselves and like how long it took, and like, let me make sure I feel safe and I trust, which is good. It's valid. We want you to, right? But it's also great to have awareness for ourselves and for anyone listening. Like, take a look at what you do for a living,
Mm.
right? And then look how like that. So for an example, anytime that I meet someone who's like an analyst, yeah, and I'll see that like, so they're like super attention to details and like they need to get the nitty-gritties, and that since their brain is so programmed to be that way, like being so in the details can lead to so much anxiety. And that's often like the opportunity is to like get out of that anxiety into, right, so to balance it out where it's like use that at work, but at home let's practice expansion and like being a little bit more in your body instead of your mind,
Yes.
so that your personal life can be as successful as your professional life. So just found that awesome, and then for all of us, it's like the opportunity is like, okay, and then if I do the opposite of how will my life transform?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So I love that. I'm
Yes.
curious also because that was really awesome how you like allowed yourself. I remember the first time that I contacted a coach for myself, and it was like same thing. As soon as I got onto the call, I was just a blubbering mess. But
Yeah.
because it was the first time that I actually like asked for help, like to me to actually admit that
Yeah.
like I don't got this, and I'm like,
Yes.
because I was
Yeah.
holding on. Was it like that for you? Like
Oh gosh,
okay.
yes.
Mhm.
The knowledge that I was bringing to that call that I failed all these times. Or what does Einstein say? I didn't know how to do it then. Um,
Mhm.
I I did. I felt like I had failed for so long. Tried this, tried that, and it was almost why am I trying? Why? Why am I bothering? And then that was the identifiers within listening to you and learning about you, yes, as an analyst on my time, just kind of there's no gigantic false feeling promise. So when I got on the call, I was just like, I, I'm exhausted and I
Mhm.
feel like I can't do this and I don't want to be a failure of anything. Of course, nobody
Mhm.
really aims for that, but it was that moment of saying, I trust you and I'm scared and I've
Mhm.
tried and tried, and there were so many emotions about disempowerment rolling out of just like, I can't, I'm unworthiness, or so many shame, so very many emotions that as soon as you and I started talking, I was like, "Phew, yes."
Nice.
Whooshed.
Mhm.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, and I know that fear of failure, like that is a frequent thing they'll hear from people is like, I just can't fail at one more thing. Like, what if this actually doesn't work, you know? And it's
Yeah.
just this don't want to even touch on that. For anybody who feels that way, what would you say to them?
Gosh. That that is a interesting feeling worth exploring. That to really dive down, and I'm going to get a little tearful because you're afraid of failing, and what you eloquently teach is, let's explore that. That's very interesting. It's not good, it's not bad. What is it? Where does it come from? How can we explore that? How can we shift that? So I would like to say that this experience has allowed me to have that perspective. And I would encourage anyone who feels like, gosh, this is another thing. If it doesn't work, what am I going to do? I was there. I totally understand. And it, it's worth that dive in, which are one of the tools, one of the many tools that this program provides for sure. And you'd be surprised that it's not even about a failure. It's about more internal. I don't even know if I could
Mhm.
articulate what I'm trying to say right now, but
No, I love that so much. And I'll just even add a little bit to that is like, consider like the failure is the feeling,
mm,
right? And I think that's what you're pointing to. And it's just like, our unconscious mind's job is to keep us safe. It does not want to experience this feeling of failure,
mm,
or any negative feeling, which is why we'll turn to food and right have all of the problem habits that we do. And so the access though to release that is to actually feel the failure, like
mm,
actually, right? So um whether it's how you got onto the call and immediately felt the emotions come through to like feel it
yeah,
there, that allowed you to move, right? It
yeah,
allowed you to make a change. um but yeah, the access point to the whole thing is to actually just move through and feel the feelings. um the other thing that I think is powerful for people to note, I just love teaching about this, of like, it's all about that initial mindset that we come into it with, right? So it's like,
mm,
if you already have that relationship with self of, you know, I have failed at every single diet I have done. Of course, you have that feeling, right? After all the things I used to have it, like, of course, right?
yeah,
And the opportunity is like just as true is a story of like, I have been so committed to my health and myself, right? And value this so highly in my life that I've never given up
yeah,
on it. And I have actually learned tremendous, awesome, great things from every single thing I've invested in.
yeah,
And, right? And whatever I did at the time that worked was perfectly aligned for the support that I needed at that current part of my path.
yes,
And then it could be like, then you might get into a space where you're like, I can't do another diet again. I can't do another short-term yo-yo thing. And I'm gaining weight because I'm not staying consistent, da 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 da. Well, it's like, ooh, well, then this message, right, will then resonate with your soul, like it sounded like it
yeah,
did for you, right? And then it's like, ooh, what if this is the next layer?
mm,
Right? The next piece. And then it's just like, and life is never ending of that growth and that, self exploration, whatever. So my goal for all my clients is to start with that. Like, let's start with the mindset of like, you've actually never failed at anything and you never could, you
yes,
know? And then from there, it's like, oh, and then you start engaging with yourself. It's like, damn, I am a badass. Like, damn, I do always do that, you know? And then from this space, we have
yes,
entirely different actions. We have a entirely different mindset, right? I've had clients who come back and they're like, since doing your program, I'll never not invest in myself again because I see how that energy like
Yeah.
really changes the way that I take care of myself, you know? So, and so they don't look at like, oh, I need another coach or I need another therapist as a bad thing. They look at it as like, this is like a radical self-care, you know,
Yes.
affirmation of wanting to continue to feel good and be my happiest, healthiest self. So, you know, that mindset is everything. Um, Something else that I know from your journey, you mentioned about the intimacy, and I just want to share
Mm.
for people listening that I see this a lot that, you know, there's insecurities around, you know, how does my partner view me and these types of things. And there is a known thing in any goal setting that we make for ourselves that if we're doing the goal for anybody else that's not ourselves, it doesn't work. I don't know if you have anything you want to share about that. You don't need to. I was just, yeah.
Well, I think yes, I that was one of the things I talked to you about on the phone call. The very first time I spoke to you, I was in such a vulnerable place of just wanting it was for me at that time,
Mhm,
of saying, like, I want physically, we all every person wants to know that when they're with their special person that they feel confident and they feel sexy and they feel all of these gorgeous things that come with intimacy, whether you're snuggling on the couch or you're you know doing things. So
mhm,
i I was pushing that away. I was feeling and projecting, if you will, of
mhm,
I'm not even gonna try. I'm not even gonna because I again, I get out of the shower and I'm mad because I had to go in there naked because I don't appreciate what's happening here.
mhm,
So then why would they wanna be with me if I
mhm.
can't even handle so
Right.
absolutely, and I think that's something that we don't really talk about enough to one another to realize that there are so very many people going through that, and I do think it's very important. Um, some people feel good enough to speak to their partner and be able to say, "Hey, I'm feeling this way," and be enveloped by their partner with, what is needed. Um, I wasn't brave enough to have that conversation. I made my mind up. I said, "This is how you do it. This is what's happening." And I was the one in misery. I was the one who was just, swirling around. So I think it's really important to note that our bodies change during menopause. Um, that doesn't mean the love of our partner changes during menopause,
Mhm.
and that the our partner doesn't want to be with us just the way they did before, whether it was a long-term partner or you just recently coming together. I just want people out there to know if you can hear anything at all, just hear that what we think of ourselves from time to time is not how other people see us.
Mm,
If they love you, for sure, that's not how they see you. So this is an important breakthrough I had with
mhm,
you, with this program and the tools was to understand that I was standing in my way on a lot of things, or I was allowing my perception of somebody else's opinion. I thought it was just my opinion.
yeah.
So, yeah,
What a beautiful way to share that. And thank you for sharing that. It's huge. And especially as women, like, the deeper transformation of this program is like full-blown self-expression, like
mm,
getting back to your authentic self, learning who that is for the very first time for many women, right? We've been,
yeah,
especially as women, it's like, this is what we need to do to survive. This is the
yeah,
container you need to, right? This is what's acceptable and not acceptable. Perfectionism runs rampant with women, you know? So,
yeah,
um, yeah, to like have the courage to use your voice and say those things and, possibly be rejected or abandoned or right. And if we didn't have that emotional safe place as kids, then yeah, how can we just be confident? So I really acknowledge you for stepping into that and then being able to
mm,
receive, right? So it's like we deserve to feel good. We deserve to have our emotions be heard, even if they're imperfect. which I
Mm.
used to be so afraid of that because I had experiences of me sharing emotions and it
Oh,
caused the other person to have major negative reactions and blame me. And
yeah.
right. So there is that healing in the, okay, well, what's the, um, impact of not sharing is like, well, and intimacy is huge as far as when we feel that feeling, like food oftentimes can be the
100%.
replacement, so
Oh,
if we're not intimate, whether it's
yeah.
emotional or physical with our partners, people we trust, like that's gonna can affect
100%.
so
Yeah.
much, so definitely needs to be looked at. And like
Yeah.
there's so much programming about food, body, and weight. I see it all the time as far as I think I shared it with you, but just like Tony Robbins did this thing with a married couple or whatever. But anyway, it's just like you want the relationship to work. And so you're afraid that if you cross this line that maybe you heard at one point,
Yeah.
that then they're going to leave you. Right. And
Mm.
so then you spend your whole life hiding and like trying to, right, make sure that that doesn't happen. But what can be it's like the opposite can actually happen. It's like we can be, become the thing. And then all of a sudden, right. So versus
Yeah.
one honest, open conversation, one clearing out the space with that, is because to really find out like, hey, they actually don't think that way about me. Hey, they do think
Yeah.
I'm attractive. Hey, they're not even
Yeah.
noticing my body changing. That
Oh,
and men are such interesting creatures and just like how their minds work. So I have shared on the podcast before just around like dating at my largest weight, and having all the insecurities about that. But um, we teach people how to engage with us. Yeah. So if we have, insecurities and we're, saying how insecure we feel about our body, blah, 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 to our partners, like, well, especially for men, right? They want to fix it. They want to help you. So they're giving the advice, but it
yes.
actually doesn't help with that. Anything you want to share there?
Oh my gosh, that is the exactly. You're you're exactly correct because the more I would, yeah, absolutely. He would bless his heart.
Mhm.
It would cause conflict because he wanted to help me, because he wanted to
Yeah.
ensure that, you know, the rowing, are you rowing every day? Are you eating the right calorie? And it wasn't out of so there was a time that during these conversations I was feeling like you're not the boss of me. I'm doing the best I can. Rah! And it wasn't intended to be anything other than I hear you. I hear you saying you're frustrated. I recognize these are some options for you. You've talked
Mm.
about it. You brought it too. So I don't understand how I'm hurting you when I'm
Yes.
just trying to remind you of who you are and what you've said. And it took me owning that part to say, okay, gotcha. 'Cause I think it was you who said that, your brain is programmed to always look for the problem. It's
Yeah.
like to
Yes.
constantly like identify, "Up, there's a problem. Up, there's a problem." And so that oh, it was efficient. Efficient.
Yes. To do it
So,
all.
and
Yeah. Well, good
and
for you becoming aware of it.
yeah,
Hmm.
there was another word that you used, empowerment. Isn't it such a fun word, empowerment, and to recognize through many conversations with you about you recognize that speaking about that he was trying to help, he was trying to empower me. And I continued forging ahead with my own disempowerment feelings because it was all coming from inside of pushing back. Like it's interesting. Yeah, the whole
Hmm.
process of uncovering and unlayering and kind of getting to the crux of the the bigger thing is how to empower yourself, how to look at you on a wholesome view. I don't know, if that's the right way to say it, but yes.
Yeah, all to support you in getting what you said as far as getting back to wholeness within yourself
Yes.
and starting to
Yes.
engage with yourself as the awesome,
Yeah.
empowered, successful woman that you are. But, it starts with that. And so when we're like constantly worried about like, oh, what are they going to think? Or, oh, are they
Yes.
going to say something that's going to trigger me about my weight again or blah, blah, blah. It's like we're all externally based. We never even have that ability to go inside and say, well, how do I feel about my body changing? And how do I
Right.
feel about my eating? And what emotions do I have about this? So anyway, for anyone who's dealing with this, it's just like I recommend, like if you're having this, thing in your, relationship, which I see all the time, is just maybe just quiet, and maybe set a little boundary, and just like, thank you so much. I really appreciate your support. And I think, I'm going to go get some support for myself. I know I need to take ownership in this area of my life. And, I think I'll be good not to talk about this anymore. I'll let you know if I need anything. Thank you so much. I love you.
Mhm.
Um, because then you can kind of first rewrite the script within yourself, heal it within yourself, and then start engaging with yourself and men are attracted to just a woman who's like, her energy is like, right? Like she loves herself, she's feeling herself. Like it doesn't
Yes.
matter as much about the size. Like they're just really want to be with someone who's in their body and like
Yes.
really, warm, heartfelt, all the things. So
Yeah.
we can retrain them how to be with us, but sometimes there just needs to be a time of like, let's just quiet and do the work on you and
Mm.
then see how things change, right? My big story was how I had someone comment about my weight while I was going through this.
Mm.
I set the boundary, I faked it, like I loved my body. I was like, oh, thank you so much. I love my body. I feel good about what I'm doing with my health because I was healing through this stuff. And then like 2 weeks
Yeah.
later, they were like, your body is so great. Like, oh, they just like, oh, it was like, I created that just through
Yep.
that, so
Yes.
people will engage with us the way we engage with ourselves. So there's that
Yes.
process. Yeah.
That's well said, and to take that last statement and spread it wide is that people will engage with us the way we engage with ourselves. So if we're pensive and constantly ready for that fight and ready for that, I'm gonna and that's what we get. But if we
Yes.
rewrite it within ourselves, like lately, my husband has said more often. He's laughed more often with me and said, "Oh my god, you're so funny." That was one of the things that brought us together was,
Mm.
I'm a funny girl.
Woo!
But if I'm
Mhm.
caught up in all of this shame spiral about, "Oh my, what am I how come I'm failing and then I can't be funny. I can only kind of be like hugging a porcupine. I can't imagine that's fun." So, yeah, absolutely.
What a beautiful way to describe that. Yeah, he fell in love with your laughter and it's the freedom, it's the right. And that comes from, again, just how do I fall in love with myself and honor wherever I'm at in my path and wherever,
Yeah.
right, my body is at this time. And we don't have to love that or want to be there forever. And it's where we're at now.
Yeah.
And manifestation really happens, freedom happens, health, healing happens when we are okay with the now first, no matter what circumstance, no matter what numbers on the scale, no matter what numbers in the bank account, no matter what, whatever. It's like, how can we still just be so enrolled with who we are and all the decisions that we've made? And then from that point,
Yep.
continue to attract and create more and better, et cetera. So beautiful. Tess, thank you for being willing to share your story.
Of
If
course.
anyone is like considering doing the program, or I also, you kind of mentioned like about what would be like something that you're like the thing that was most surprising to you, like a beautiful surprise when you
Mm,
joined the program that you weren't expecting.
okay. Um, this has come to mind throughout this whole conversation. It's amazing how our lives would change when we give ourselves permission.
Mm.
And permission is permission to explore the feeling, permission to dive deep, permission to eat if you're hungry, permission to wear that outfit because you like it, permission. It's such a small thought of, but it's the overarching surprise element for empowering myself for when, put things in my cabinet because I'm a grown ass woman, or um, ask for boom boom because I want it. I
Woo!
mean, it's
I
like
love Good for you. That's so fun.
permission, it's permission and it's so liberating. And once you start crossing those permissive barriers that you've thought, you're terrified of, and you realize you're in such a wonderful group of people and you're really held in space and understanding and that you're not alone and oh my god you feel that way too and it was such a kinship men, women, didn't matter, all of us together saying, "Well, this used to suck, but I'm understanding it now." And
Woohoo.
that's it. The permission to take that step
Mhm.
and give her a call at the end of this, explore, permission to do the program, permission to find out, be reminded of who you really, really are. And it is not on the scale at all.
Wow. Woo. Wow. That's so powerful. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, Tess.
You're
I like
welcome.
had thoughts, but like now I don't have any thoughts because that was like so beautiful. It is.
Oh,
It's just about, yeah, getting to be your authentic self, right? Like
it is.
fully expressed and all the things. On a nurse note,
Mm.
it's like, fun is also like my middle name. I like to have fun with people as we're doing the work, but there's also the like reality that I've seen. I volunteer for a nonprofit with Leukemia Lymphoma Society. And every single meeting, we start with someone's story about, how they got diagnosed and then, they're in remission now. But every single one, like, yes, they use conventional treatment and that's great and that helps. But they were like, I was not happy in my marriage. I was not happy in
Right.
my job. They were not self expressed. They were not living life aligned to themselves. And cancer happened. So it's like,
Mm.
on a serious note, if just permission to like be yourself isn't enough, there's also the like the real note of like what is the long-term impact of continuing to, suppress self and not do
Yeah,
the deeper dive. So thank you for being that
absolutely.
testament for
Oh,
women,
yes.
men, all human beings. I know this is going to be so valuable to people. So yeah, everyone listening, if you want to give yourself permission, if it's speaking to you, then yeah, book that call at website hpwl.co, and happy to just have a conversation and just even look like what are the actual steps for your heal plan: hypnosis, emotional mastery, aligned, authentic, and lasting self-care. And yeah, whether that's my program or not, I just want you to have clarity, have the safe environment on the call to express whatever
Yes.
you've been going through, know that you're not alone, and take it from there. So Tess, thank
Yeah.
you again so much. And for everyone
Thank
listening,
you.
see you for the next episode.
All
Bye
right. Take
bye.
care. Bye-bye.
If you are serious about taking action on your struggle with food, body, and weight, then this is for you. Go ahead and text the word hypnosis to 855-BE-ALIVE. That's 855-232-5483. Immediately after texting that number, you will get access to our free training that will tell you why you can't figure the food, body, and weight thing out, why you can't keep weight off even after you've been successful in the past, and how to actually overcome it, including a mini hypnosis session at the end. Don't miss out. Text the word hypnosis to 855-BE-ALIVE. That's 855-232-5483.